Welcome to Module 8 of the Small Business 101 webinar series. This module is all about your marketing and sales. Now that you have your market research in place, we need to have a plan to scale this up and get customers knowing about us. This module walks through understanding needs assessments, your target market, and the 4 Ps of a marketing strategy, including your product, price, place, and promotion strategy. With this module, you will be ready to get the word out there. This is the 8th module of 10 that complete the Small Business 101 webinar series. The Small Business 101 series will get you started with some of the most important information you need to know as a startup entrepreneur. The goal of this module is to have everything in place and a strategy to have your customers start to know about you. In the last module, we walked through the due diligence of market research to ensure that we have busted any assumptions that we have made. Now that we have our market research verifying any of our assumptions, we are ready to push forward with the marketing strategy that will get everyone to know about us. We need to have a better understanding of our customers, their needs, and how to put together a comprehensive strategy that is appealing to them as well as quick at getting awareness. A common mistake that an entrepreneur makes at this stage is not telling people about their business. They often don't ramp up their marketing strategy fast enough, as they are worried about telling everyone about their business in case it doesn't work out. But the entrepreneur basically is setting themselves up for failure by not telling people about their business. If your aunt's neighbor doesn't know that you are in business, you need to be telling more people. Let's get started in getting the awareness started. To do this, we're going to walk through the following: target market, customer needs, the 4 Ps of marketing, and selling basics. Target market. Who are they and what do they care about? We need to have a very clear understanding of who they are as people. Customer needs. What are the different levels of needs and what does this mean for your business? The 4 Ps of marketing. This includes the product or service that you are offering, the price that you are offering it at, the place where the product or service will be offered, and the promotional strategies that you will use to get the product or service awareness and sales. Let's begin. Target market. Understand what the customer wants and needs. We want to continue to better understand our target market. The target market is the target customer group that you are marketing to. The reason this is very important to select a target market is so that you do not try to be everything to everyone. Because if you try to be everything to everyone, you quickly become nothing to no one. You want to have a laser focus on your target market and ensure all your marketing activities are focused here to optimize getting solid leads, which turn into sales later on. You need to select a target market who you are able to cater your product or service to. Every target market has unique needs that they are trying to fulfill. So for each of them, your needs assessments may change. You need to know who your key audience is going to be so that you are the best at reaching them, messaging to them, and your product or service is the best for them. Grab your target market worksheet to walk through how to better fully understand your target customer. Your target market can usually be described by their demographics, psychographics, and behaviors. Demographics. These are the typical way that stats can or census information would describe people or businesses. It might include the age, gender, geographical location, ethnicity, and other basic information. This is a good starting point of describing your target market, but demographics alone don't give a lot of insight. It is psychographics and their behaviors that help you really understand them. Behaviors. How does your target market act? What is the day in the life of your target market? Do they go to sporting events? Do they grocery shop? Do they watch TV? Surf online? Go out with friends? Do they do sporting activities? Think through what your target market does on a daily basis. Where do they go? Psychographics. How does your target market think? Do they care about being healthy? Are they environmentally conscious? Do traditions matter to them? What are their core values? The psychographics are the most insightful part of this. If you get this part right, you can start predicting the behaviors of your target market. So now you understand your target market. Customer needs. Everything to do with marketing is about the customer. The old adage is that the customer is always right. And although this is not always 100% true, it is a good adage to live by most of the time. The customer is right in that they know what they need and want. And us as marketers and salespeople need to adapt to those needs, as they are the right ones to adapt to. So grab your customer needs worksheet to get started. There is no point in coming up with a strategic marketing plan or starting to tell our target market about us if we don't understand the fundamental needs that we are filling. You are doing this needs assessment on your target market. Your target market's needs fall into three major categories: primary needs, secondary needs, and customer wants. These are the needs that we need to make sure as marketers that we are addressing in the order of importance. There is a very important part of marketing, and you want to be making sure that you spend time here. And make sure you are thinking through carefully this very important part of marketing. Use the research you did, what you learned from any surveys, interviews, focus groups. The more insight and specific you can be here, the more effective your marketing will become. Primary needs are the top priority for your customers. They need to be addressed first and thoroughly. Common examples for this would be negative needs such as alleviating thirst or hungry or reducing risk. Secondary needs are just that, secondary. They are still important and should be second priority. They would often be things like convenience, easy to use, accessible, or taste. It is often with the secondary needs that businesses are able to differentiate themselves from the competition. Then there are customer wants. These still need to be considered, but if you can't do a great job of delivering, it is not as high of a criteria. Examples could be ability to customize pieces of the product or service, or the time sensitivity of something being delivered. Now that you have a good understanding of what your customer is seeking, what are you capable of delivering? How could you solve these primary needs, secondary needs, and wants? Brainstorming about how to do this or to do this better is the beginning of the marketing strategy. Now that you have and understand your target market and started your needs assessment, you have the background information to create your marketing strategy that will meet the needs of the target market. The 4 Ps of marketing include the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. The product. Which is the product or service that you are creating to meet the needs of your target market? The price. How much are you going to charge for this product or service? The place. Where will the product or service be available for your target market to have access to it? The promotion. How will you let your target market know about your total offering? Grab your 4 Ps worksheet and let's get started. The product or service needs to start with the needs assessment that we have just completed in this module. What were all of the primary needs, secondary needs, and wants that were identified? What were ways that you could deliver on this? Now we start thinking about product attributes that could be added, or we come up with services that could meet the needs or wants. Or even better, we start understanding that it is a combination of products and services that creates a full offering that we are marketing to the customer. For needs or wants to be met, there is usually a basic quality that needs to be achieved. For instance, in a restaurant, the food needs to taste good or needs to be warm. These are basic thresholds to even consider competing. Other things to consider are your packaging and labeling. What does this look like? Make sure that you are following any government regulations around packaging and labeling. And is this packaging supporting the brand that you are hoping to portray? All of these components make up the product part of your marketing strategy. The price. Often, this is one of the most difficult things for an entrepreneur to figure out. Many entrepreneurs do cost plus the margin they wish to make. This is not a recommended approach as it is created in a vacuum and could easily not be either marketable or it could leave money on the table. Let's talk about competition-based and value-based methodologies. A competitive-based pricing approach is when you do your market research and put your price in the same range as the competition based on if you are higher or lower quality. But again, this is not fully taking into account the customer. So the most recommended approach is a value-based approach to pricing, where you price based on the willingness to pay of the customer and the perceived value of the product or service that you are offering. In other words, what value does your product have in the eyes of the customer, and what price would they be willing to pay for this? It could be helpful when you do this by starting this analysis with knowing what your competition price points are and identify the value your product has and how this would position it against the competition. When finalizing the price that you are entering the market with, remember that it is always easier to add in pricing promotions and to discount your product or service than it is to increase your price. So be wary of entering the market at too low a price point. If no one complains that your price is too high, you are leaving money on the table. Place. Where do you need to be? What is a channel partner strategy? Bricks and mortar and online. Where do you need to be available? Coca-Cola created the vending machine as a way to optimize their placement and accessibility to their target markets. Based on the target market worksheet, you have a clear understanding of your target market's behaviors. What are they? How can you be available and accessible to them? One way to do this is to have channel partners that are already marketing or accessible to your target market. Do you have to go direct to the consumer, to your customer, or could you partner with an existing store or company? A channel partner is a company that partners with your business to market and sell your product and or service. When selecting channel partners, you want to make sure it is a good fit with your brand, has access to your target market, and complements well with your business. Other ways to proceed is to have your own brick and mortar retail or wholesale location. This allows you to be direct with your customers. Or increasingly, there are direct models that are using online distribution via e-commerce, and they don't need channel partners or a retail store to generate sales. And of course, online, many businesses have both an online and other place strategy. This can be a powerful combination. Think what Canadian Tire has done. This is an excellent example of optimizing both online and bricks and mortar. Think through what works best for you and your target market. And finally, promotion. Often people think that promotion is the only part of marketing, but as you have seen, there is a lot of the marketing strategy that is done when you finally get to the promoting part. There are 6 main ways to get the word out there about your business: advertising, public relations, personal selling, sales promotions, direct marketing, and online marketing. Advertising. This can be done through television, radio, newspaper, billboards, online, transit, and many new and emerging forms of advertising. Public relations. How can you get in the news? This is through radio, television, or newspaper. The difference between this and advertising is that it is free and it is more credible. Personal selling is one of the most common ways to do business-to-business sales, but it is expensive to have salespeople, so the average sale often has to be high in order to justify a salesperson's salary. Sometimes the personal selling is to help develop the channel partners. Sales promotions can be used as pricing incentives for the end consumer. But many businesses use sales promotions to incentivize the sales force with bonuses. Direct marketing is when you communicate directly to your target market via flyers, direct mail, door-to-door, or direct email. Online marketing continues to evolve with search engine optimization and new forms of social media. Choose the best forms of promotion that will reach your target market. Ready to sell. So now you have your product and service ready to sell. Now let's get down to what you need to be ready to sell. In Module 1, we talked about sales skills and why this is important. Let's review this now. Sales skills. Selling skills can be learned, and if you are passionate about what you do, That is a great start. The rest you can learn. People buy from people they like and trust. But you want to have a sales process. A lot of people think that sales skills are something that people are born with, but it is really in practice and having a sales process that you practice which makes perfect. So let's talk about starting with a proper process and keep it simple. Your sales process, at a minimum, needs to include planning your call, uncovering needs, matching needs, closing, and after sales. These are the main components in a sales process. Your sales process that you develop needs to make sure that your customer's experience is consistent. And you want to have a sales process that whoever is selling your product or service is following. Let's go through the basic minimum components of the sales process. Planning the call. What should be prepared, reviewed, researched before the sales call? You want to be organized with product information, but also as much information about your prospective customer ahead of time. Uncovering needs. You want to have at least 3 to 5 questions ready to ask about what the customer is looking for in your product or service. What do they need? What do they really want to have from your product or service? What would be important to them? What would increase their probability to purchase? Matching needs. A customer wants to understand how your product or service matches what they need and want. Make it about them and clearly explain how your product or service matches what they need and want. Make it about them and showing them and explaining to them how your product or service satisfies what they told you they wanted or needed. Don't feature dump or talk about you or your company without first making it about the customer and what they need and want. Closing. When you properly match, it is easy to close. It sounds to me like the product or service I have will work well for you. Do you agree? This is an example of how you can confirm if your product or service is being positively accepted by your prospective customer. And upon positive affirmation, you are ready to close and tell them the next step to this. If they are not ready to close, you can simply ask them, okay, what additional information can I provide you with to help in your decision making? Let the closing process be natural. It works more smoothly and is more effective. And finally, after sales. Always have an after sales process, even if it is simply a thank you. You never want to miss the opportunity to get referrals and repeat business. Module 8 was all about small business marketing and setting up your strategy. We went through the customer needs, the target market, and the 4 Ps of your marketing strategy, and selling basics. You should now have a more detailed marketing strategy and overview of the sales process, which can be operationalized in your business. Now you are ready to get the word out there to your customers. Module 8 is the 8th of 10 modules for the Small Business 101 webinar series. Let's get going.